let us talk about Cvent. This is a company which saved up to $3 million. Could you tell a little bit about their strategies and how could they save that kind of money?
Yeah, so this is the Cvent case study that is available on the AWS website. Maybe we can have a link to it in the video description as well. So let's talk a little bit about Cvent's AWS migration, right? Cvent accelerated their AWS migration in 2021 with the goal of eliminating on-premise data centers by the end of the year, aiming to fully leverage the agility, resiliency, security, and sustainability benefits of the cloud. However, there were challenges in cost optimization. Initially, Cvent faced challenges related to cloud cost, visibility, accountability, and the lack of cost awareness across the organization, which led to inaccurate financial forecasts and delays in creating a cost-aware culture. Now, let's take a look at the cost savings. What did Cvent achieve? Cvent's effort in cost optimization and increased visibility led to significant savings, including $500,000 annually in software licenses and approximately $100,000 per month from more efficient management of savings plans and EC2 reserved instances, totaling $1.7 million per year. The increased visibility and awareness of spending led to proactive instance optimizations, removal of wasted resources, and the culture of treating each dollar as their own, fostering a competitive spirit in identifying savings opportunities. The widespread visibility and cost-aware culture enabled by cloud intelligence dashboards allowed Cvent to eliminate third-party software licenses, resulting in real savings that could be reinvested in other projects.
Also, they leveraged the RIs and cost-saving plans, right? And they saved $100K per month. Could you please elaborate a little bit on that? Like, how can companies leverage RIs and cost savings plan to reduce their costs?
So let's talk a little bit about what a savings plan is, right? But what is that? So all the cloud vendors have similar products, right? They are called savings plans on the AWS side. They are called flexible committed usage discounts on the GCP side, and they are also called savings plans on the Azure side, right? On AWS, how a savings plan works is that you purchase a specific dollar amount per hour that will be then applied to eligible compute cost, right? So let's say you purchase $100 an hour. Every hour, AWS will take all your compute usage and sort it by the highest percentage savings on top, and then apply the dollars until the dollar amount runs out, right? Until the $100 has been applied to that hour. So there's a couple of interesting things here that don't happen with other cloud vendors, right? Let's say that your first line item is for $2 and the second line item is for $1,000. The $100 will then be applied fully to the $2, and the remaining $98 will then be applied to the $1,000, right? So that is one effect that you're getting at the top. The other effect is that at the bottom edge, where the savings plan runs out, that bottom edge may jump from hour to hour. So some hours, a workload may qualify and be covered, and some hours, there's some other workloads that are having higher savings that where the savings plan gets applied first, and so the bottom edge doesn't catch those virtual machines that were previously used. Another trick that you can use to identify if your savings plan is about to become less utilized or underutilized is to look at how much of your Lambda usage is being covered by savings plans. Because the Lambda savings percentage is relatively lower than any other virtual machine, except for some Windows machines that have very expensive licenses, right? So if you see that your savings plan over time is starting to be applied to Lambda usage, you can use that to identify that you didn't have enough virtual machine usage that was eligible for the savings plan before the savings plan was applied to Lambda. We call this typically the savings plan is bleeding into Lambda, right? It is going over into Lambda. When you start using savings plans, make an uncontroversial purchase, something like $1 and see what happens, right? And then from there, just work your way up to like $10, $100, and see how that works, right? In Cost Explorer, you can actually group by purchase option, and the purchase option will then show savings plans, RIs, and on demand, and spot, and all those other purchase options, right? The next one, so what is a good target, right? I think for a crawl maturity, if you have 50% coverage, that is already a win, right? For a walk maturity, you're probably looking more at like 80% coverage, and just by savings plans. And for a run maturity, you want to look for 90% coverage. Here it will be interesting on a hour by hour and day by day basis, how much your compute usage varies over time, right? We typically, at my organization, we have some on the weekends, the engineers are turning workloads off, right? So there's less virtual machine usage on the weekends. And so the savings plan is about able to cover about 100% of the usage, right? So depending on that, you will see what your variance is during a work week, and see how high you can push savings plans before it will start covering more than 100%, which means that everything over 100% is wasted, right? Is savings plans that are not being applied to anything. And they will then fully bleed into Lambda. And once Lambda usage is exhausted, there's just dollars that you leave on the table, right? In addition, we talked about reserved instances, right? Reserved instances by itself is a very complex product on the AWS side. There's standard reserved instances that come with a capacity guarantee. There's convertible reserved instances that don't come with a capacity guarantee. And then there's regional reserved instances. Typically, a standard reserved instance is very constrained to what it applies. A specific machine type, a specific machine size, a region, a zone, a tenancy, a network type, those kind of things, right? So it is very narrow where it applies. While convertible RIs, regional convertible RIs are a little bit more flexible within the region, and the convertible RIs also allow the reserved instance to be modified on the fly. One of the strengths of this product, and it does not exist in the other two cloud providers, is that you can change the duration. So let's say you purchased a reserved instance for 36 months or 3 years, and you're now 18 months into that lease of that reserved instance, right? Now, what you can do is you can actually extend it at that point from the remaining 18 months to another 36 months. And what you effectively do is you halve the dollar coverage of that convertible reserved instance, right? So that allows you a little bit of flexibility. Let's say you are in a downturn, your organization is tightening the belt, and there's less cloud spend forecasted, right? You can use those convertible reserved instances and stretch them out over time and reduce your commitment. And that is something that is not possible with savings plans. Once you're committed to $100, you will always have $100, right? You cannot stretch that out in time. So for the organizations that want more flexibility, I highly recommend looking into either self-managed or third-party vendor managed of those convertible reserved instances to help you fill in the gaps that the savings plan cannot cover, right? Because let's say during a work week, your coverage goes from 80% to 100%. So you have that 20% flexibility, right, with a very jagged curve. And you can either self-manage or you can use a third-party vendor to manage these convertible reserved instances for yourself. And they will fill in those gaps and get you close to 100% coverage on your compute.
Thanks, Dieter. Excellent information.